Hey there everyone, welcome to Ants Reptile Colony for another episode of Animal Profiles. Today we're going to be looking at two of South Africa's most dangerous adders. And to start this video off, we're going to be looking at South Africa's most common adder, that being the puff adder. They can be found all across the country except in true deserts and forests, which make up a really small proportion of the landscape, so they're found pretty much everywhere. Puff adders are large, robust snakes with big heads and great camouflage. And because these snakes are so widespread and have great camouflage, encounters with humans are occurring very often. And the more often you encounter a snake, the more likely it is that you're going to get bit. That's just a numbers game. That's why zookeepers, snake handlers, people like that tend to get the most snake bites, because they are handling and dealing with the snakes the most often. Puff adders are responsible for the majority of snake bites in South Africa, and with a potent cytotoxic venom, death can occur if medical treatment is not received in time. Cytotoxic venom basically means that the venom affects the cells themselves, which results in major swelling and necrosis. Because of this, there have been cases where people have lost digits such as fingers and toes, and in really severe cases limbs as well, because they had to be amputated because of the rot was so bad. However, if proper medical treatment is found quickly and a polyvalent antivenom is administered in time, there will be no need for any loss of digits, limbs, or lives. Puff adders have been nicknamed the lazy snake due to their sluggish movements and reluctance to get out the way should you approach them, but I'll get back into that in a second. These snakes are ambush hunters. That means that they lie in the same place waiting for prey to come past them before they strike. This leaves them lying in the same place for hours if not days on end, motionless, relying on that camouflage to keep them hidden. And once that prey does come in range, whack! Strikes, envenomates the prey item, waits for it to become immobile, and then tracks it down to consume it. And with the puff adder being one of the fastest striking snakes in the world, next only to the death adder from Australia, because I mean, why wouldn't it be in Australia? I don't think that mouse stands much of a chance. But getting back to the puff adders now, the reason that they tend not to move out the way when they are approached by people is because they're relying on that camouflage to keep them hidden. They're hoping that if they lie so still that the humans or us people won't see them and just carry on our way. The problem is we usually don't see them and then we end up stepping on them, which causes them to reflexively bite us. In all fairness, not every bite is an envenomation. Quite often there are dry bites where the snake does not envenomate the creature but rather just bites them as a defense display for whatever the reason could be. Maybe they've just had a meal so they have no venom left, or for the season, or whatever the case may be. So just enough to scare the would-be threat away. But in most cases, if the snake does feel that you are coming too close, they will puff their bodies up to make themselves look really big and make a really loud, deep hissing sound. I wish I could replicate it, but I'm just going to sound silly. So Google it, or even YouTube it. It's quite an intimidating sound. It'll also flatten its head, slanted downwards in that S shape as part of the threat display. And only if that threat display is ignored will they put those large hinged fangs to use, which is not what we want in this case. But I say again, they only strike when threatened or feeling cornered, and with proper medical treatment there is no loss to life and you will be 100% okay. An interesting point with puff adders is that you can actually tell males and females apart by the length of their tails. Males having the longer tails while females have a bit shorter tails. The catch is, for you to tell whether the tail is long or short, you need to see a lot of puff adder tails, and you get that through experience. I mean, if you just see one puff adder, how do you know if their tail is long or short? You don't. So you've got to see many of them. The colors of the puff adders also vary with locality, especially in the males, as they tend to be more brighter in coloration than females. In some parts of the country, the males have a nice yellow tinge to them, whereas in other parts they're a bit more white or brown. Females tend to stay that dull white, brown leaf color. I have also heard stories where puff adders have laid so long on a patch of grass waiting for prey to come past that the grass beneath them has completely died. Like, dead. And I mean, some people may call it lazy, some people may call it determination. And because of them having to be ambush hunters and staying so still, studies have shown that puff adders actually have no scent. This is because the scent particles released from the puff adder are denser or heavier than the air particles, causing it to sink lower to the ground. This means that the scent of the puff adder doesn't spread throughout the air, alerting would-be predators or prey. I mean, if your prey item, being a rodent, happens to smell you 200 meters away and know that you're there, it's not going to come past because that'll be a bad day, or probably the rodent's last day. and they don't want that. So the puff adder's scent remains close to the ground, making the puff adder an excellent camouflage specialist, as they are now out of the prey's sight, out of their hearing ability, and out of their smell, which is why I think puff adders are some of the coolest snakes around. Getting on to our second adder for today, which also is the largest adder in South Africa, the Gaboon adder. And not only is it the largest adder in South Africa, it also boasts the largest fangs of any snake in the entire world. Their fangs reach a whopping 5 centimeters in length, which I think is around about 2 inches. I mean, that is massive. And like the puff adder, these fangs are also hinged to the front of the mouth and protected with sheaths. The other thing is that they don't only just have one fang on each side of the mouth, they have a couple, ready to replace those that have become damaged. Gaboon adders not only boast the largest fangs, they also boast the largest venom glands, which means that they're able to pump the largest amount of venom of any snake in a single strike. During a milking where they get to have the snakes bite into a plastic cup to collect their venom, they've recorded venom yields of up to 2,000 milligrams of dried venom from a Gaboon adder. Now that is a lot of venom, guys. Like really, that's two whole grams of dried venom as powder. But it's good because that venom is then used to create antivenom as well as many other medications. Gaboon adders, like the puff adders, are robust muscular snakes that reach lengths of around about 90 to 120 centimeters, although in other parts of Africa they have been known to get even larger. They are also ambush hunters and mostly prey on rodents. Gaboon adders are also fast-striking snakes despite their bulkiness, although they are not nearly as fast as the puff adder. When they strike, they also tend to hold on a tad longer to their prey in order to pump all that venom into it. And due to their ambush hunting technique, they are also masters of camouflage. They look exactly like dead leaves, and because they are mainly found in more tropical or forest regions, there is lots of dead leaf matter along the forest floor, and that is where they blend in perfectly with their blacks, creams, whites and browns. Their head is also large and flat to look like a dried leaf. And just like with puff adders, the length of the tail can determine whether the animal or the Gaboon adder is a male or a female. The males once again have longer tails than the females, which have shorter tails. And again, the only way you can tell this is by seeing multiple animals or multiple individuals. Gaboon adder venom is also cytotoxic venom with symptoms including shock, swelling, necrosis, and severe pain. Bites are extremely rare, however, because these snakes, as I mentioned, occur in a really small area of the country and so do not come in contact with humans too often. But with a quick administration of polyvalent antivenom as well as good medical treatment, you can also survive the bite with no problems. As part of its threat display, the Gaboon adder will also puff itself out to make it look big, as well as get into a striking position to try and intimidate the would-be predators. Some stories involving Gaboon adders being ambush hunters include them staying in the same place for so long that a pile of feces has accumulated behind them. I don't know how true this is, but given that they do stay still for very, very long, I can see how it could be a possibility. Gaboon adders are amazing snakes and also, again, one of my favorites. I think I can say that with every snake, but I mean, when you love snakes, what can I say? You love snakes. Thanks for watching, everyone. Every view counts. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider hitting that subscription button below, smashing that like button, notification bell, all that jazz. Really does help. Also, drop a comment below. It's always good to catch up with you guys. And until next time, remember, it's never too late to learn.